All right, welcome back, good people. Today, I want to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind here lately, and it's today is actually November the 4th, the day after the election day. There still hadn't been a response to who the next president will be, but whoever it is, life goes on, right? We still have to do what we have to do to make those ends meet if we can. But sometimes certain people make it a little bit easier than others. But at the same time, it's still what we do. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is personal development. That's one of my favorite subjects besides business. And the reason it's one of my favorite subjects is because I believe that that's something we have to work on every day for ourselves, basically because of the brainwashing job that we've had thus far in life. Because when you look at where you are in life versus the knowledge that you had, say, 5 or 10 years ago, maybe if you're older, maybe 10 or 20 years ago, you view things totally different. And that's how life goes. As you gain more insight and more perspective about things, your views change. So the reason I'm talking about that today is because of the election. When you see people like Joe Biden running for presidency, and he wrote the 94 crime bill that put all incarcerated so many African Americans for long terms in prison. Well, the three strikes you're out in 1987 when he contributed to that bill. Can people evolve? Are you the same person you were 15 to 20 years ago? Are your views the same as they were? Because a lot of times that happens, but the base of who you were back then, I believe, still exists within you. So we have to ask ourselves as outsiders, is what we are looking at as far as electing a president more advantageous to put someone who's put African Americans in such a terrible situation, broke families up, mentally abused the people who were incarcerated for years for nothing or for very little. And we still have to deal with that, so we're asked to vote for someone who implemented that, who was the author of that. So sometimes it's really difficult to see which direction you want to go. But when you're looking at the opposition really is not presidential, and the opposition really is not for the people. We see that. So we have to ask ourselves, has Joe Biden evolved to the point where we can elect him and trust him to be able to handle the duties going forward that are necessary? You have to ask yourself that, because you had to vote, and you know how you voted. But I do believe that there were a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump that said that they were not Republicans or not for Donald Trump. I believe that actually happened this election. Maybe it's because of the tax breaks that he gives people who are making more than $400,000 a year. Perhaps you're one of those people. If you are, you're probably not really eager to have a 60% tax on your money or 50% tax on your money. I know I wouldn't be. I'm not in that tax bracket yet, but I would want another way, so we would have to, negotiate other than that, because that wouldn't be a selling point for me. Now, if I was making maybe $3 million a year and you were taxing people with $3 million and above, that's different, because, that's a pretty big gap. But $400,000 is not a lot of money to make per year for a lot of people, and they certainly don't want to give $150,000 back in taxes, you know, even though I know a lot of them would want to pay their fair share, whatever that is. But, you know, come on now, you got to be realistic. We're talking about generating an income that can facilitate ourselves, our families, our relatives, you know, and some future things that we want to, you know, invest in as well. So maybe that was a little too much, asking a little too much from people with money. And maybe not, you know, I don't know. It just depends on how we're going to continue moving forward. But getting back to the personal development part, and the reason I'm telling you all that is because you have to be able to assess who you are and what you stand for. And you have to stand for something. And you have to be self-conscious enough to speak on it. You have to be able to say what you stand for. Because if you don't, you really don't stand for anything. You just going through life secretly moving, not, you know, acknowledging or justifying your actions to yourself. Because see, when you're talking about self-development or personal development, that's an inside job. And sometimes we do things contrary or contradictory to who we are in an effort to appear to be someone that we're not, in order to gain something that we probably don't have at this point. That happens a lot. And if that's you, then just know that you're not really living your truth. You're living a lie, because that's not really you. So I look at it like this. If I go out on a date with a young lady, I've never seen her other than pictures, just having a conversation over the phone, and we have dinner, I'm probably going to be on my best behavior that first date, right? She's probably going to be on her best behavior, as it should be. But if you get to hang around for a week or 2 weeks, you may see a side of me that you didn't, maybe you did, or maybe you didn't think that was there, right? And I don't think you should, you know, give or take away so much from people when, you know, you're introduced to them, because you should be able to be yourself. Although there are certain things that we do in a cordial manner that I believe we should continue to do, like open doors for ladies, you know, pull the chair out for them, things like that. That may not be what we do all the time, but, you know, for a first date, or maybe that is something you do all the time. Some women are not receptive to things like that. You know, they just didn't grow up like that. So it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or a good person if you don't do that. It's just some things that certain people do, and it's the way they do it, right? And it's okay, but you have to know that for yourself. But my point is to begin to look within. We're in the 21st century, and I would say it's important, actually imperative, that we're able to be comfortable with who we are, period, right? No, unapologetically. Even if you're like, you know, a butthole, you know, that's who you are, you know, that's who you are. But you're going to be treated that way, just know that. But it's always good to be, you know, cordial to people, you know, be helpful in situations, and share information whenever you get an opportunity to share information, which is exactly what I'm doing here, because I'm a firm believer that we all have something to share. We all have experiences, and we should be able to help the next person with what they're dealing with through our experiences. And I also believe you'll be rewarded for that, because you may be the only information that this person gets today that will open their mind up to other possibilities in life. That happens a lot, because you don't know whose path you're going to cross. And you can't discount anybody, because we all can teach something on some level, right? So I'm going to make a couple more videos tonight. I like to do videos randomly from time to time, just to kind of stay sharp, right? Because, you know, I like to, you know, present myself in a way where if someone's watching, they may want to say, hey, I want to do like that. I want to set my system up in a way, and I want to be able to get in front of the camera and speak and talk on a certain subject. That's exactly what I want to do. And you should, because I know that you know that there are a lot of people doing just what I'm doing today online in their own way. Now, does that make my way wrong? No. Does that make their way right? No. It's just their way. That's what you get to do when you take action and decide that you want to get in the game, this game. But I'm going to talk about that on the next video, so stay tuned. My name is Larry James. My company is Speak with Larry, in no spaces. And as always, share with someone else what I've shared with you.